And we are good there. So, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. We're in the middle of an operations meeting. Got the stream running finally. And we're going to chat about operations. And in this meeting, we're actually going to talk about Alabama specifically. So, operations, this is us talking about how we're going to run the position of governor and talk about staff and cabinet. And if we're looking currently at the current cabinet for the current administration as of 2022, and it's a little lacking in color, I think is the way we described it earlier. It's probably the best way to put it. There we have a few people to add some diversity, but which positions they're in is
That's the funny part.
yeah where they're at. Yeah. Anywho, so I think we'll start up at the top. So we've got our the Alabama Bureau of Pardons and Paroles. So these are the people that are in charge of whether or not we should let people out of prison early, or because they maybe didn't do what we thought they did when we convicted them. So I need to go full screen because I can't. Actually, I'll just open it on my tab because I can't read that on mine. Let's see. So this is actually about Cam specifically, but what I was mentioning, or what I wanted to point out, is that this board for pardons and paroles, there are some limitations on what the governor can do to hire somebody in these roles. There's a maximum of, I believe, 7. The first 3, I'm going to call them the key 3 for the purpose of this discussion. Those are hired from a pre-selected list determined by the Supreme Court of Alabama. So as governor, I would get a prescribed list of people to choose from, and I could hire from that list. And these key 3 are the ones who decide which cases are worthy to be seen and considered. And then the rest of the board would make that decision on whether or not we would accept them or accept their case, or how to deal with it. Something to point out, and the reason I would want to overhaul this board is our state has a tendency to ignore the requests of those being ready to be pardoned and or put on parole. So there's an algorithm, for lack of better terms, on how many people, or which people should be pardoned and paroled based on characteristics and behavior and everything else that's put into whether or not they deserve to be let out on parole. And our state, I think, I'm going to throw out a statistic off the top of my head, but it is nowhere near 100% of the time are we allowing people out on parole that all of the data says we should be, to the point, or to the extent that literally other people in the legislature are trying to pass laws to say, hey, you're not even following your own guidelines. Maybe we should have some oversight so that you can explain why you're not following your own guidelines and letting people out on parole. So I think the interesting part for me, the way I think I would handle this based on what I've read, is do a startup mentality. Hire and fire quickly if they're not actually gonna treat people well and fairly. So we've got Cam Ward as the director, and that's the key decision maker. But we have a total of 7 that we can have. So that's, I think, all I would like to talk about for the Bureau of Pardons and Paroles for now.
Let's check out your next one. Yeah. There's so many other fun ones.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency.
Yeah.
Let's go for him.
Yeah. So Hal Taylor, and you'll notice that they're over a bunch of different pieces. The thing that I've tried to figure out how we want to affect this is, they're mostly over, it's your law enforcement agency, but the state troopers are a big part of that. And I was actually having a conversation with somebody at the miners' strike in Birmingham, and they were bringing up the point that we are using our state troopers to escort scabs from out of state to work in the mines while the miners are on strike. And that is something that I would have to talk to Hal, or just find a new Secretary of Law Enforcement, to make sure we're not abusing our state resources to benefit corporations, because that's something we need to consider for sure. Because even if we're not paying them, because that's one of the things I asked is, were they being paid? And they're like, no, the company typically pays their time, but they're still using state resources. Well, they're still using state resources, so they're using the cars, they're using their firearms, like all of that stuff is still state resources. And as as a state, it does not make sense to me, or I don't agree with, let me say it that way, that we should be using our resources to benefit a corporation and continue to keep people out of a job, making way too little off of their union payouts, because it was like $800 every 2 weeks or something, which is, based on our UBI conversation we had earlier, is
nothing, yeah.
is nowhere near enough to live off of, and that's incredibly obvious to anybody who's involved in that life. So yeah, we got to find somebody who understands the power that position has, because that is a huge issue for me.
Some comments are that is wildly inappropriate. WTF, Al?
Yeah. It's and it's not just on Al. I'm pretty sure that the governor could say no and be like,
Oh, but that horrible
hey,
monster would not.
oh no, I don't disagree. Just it's not 100% on Hal. For all I know, for all we know, because this is positing, potentially, Hal could have been requested to do that by someone else. I don't know Hal, so I can't speak on his reasoning for allowing that to happen. So
very diplomatic of you. Okay.
Hey, look, I don't know Hal. I've never met the man. So up next. Up next would be the Alabama Medicaid Agency. That is somebody, Stephanie. I need to get in touch with Stephanie for sure. Although she's been on here for 10 years and started under Bentley, so I don't know her, but we'll see how that goes.
What's the Medicaid situation like?
Well, we did not accept the Medicaid expansion that has been offered to us from the federal government. So that'll be a conversation after we have more funding. Once I'm governor, we'll have more funding, and we'll have to talk to Stephanie or replace Stephanie and say, hey, we gotta spend this a lot more equitably. Make sure we got people that aren't. Oh, go ahead.
Do you know if there are other reasons that they might have turned that money? Like, had they accepted Medicaid expansion before?
I don't know that offhand. No.
Okay. I would just be curious, right? Like,
yeah, why?
Stephanie just pushing the buttons, or is Stephanie a key influencer?
Oh no, I was saying after we accept it, the conversation would need to happen with Stephanie on how to do that equitably, if she's going to stick around.
Gotcha. Thank you very much for clarifying.
Yep, happy to clarify. So let's see if
people
there's
in Alabama. If you are not getting your Medicaid answers, though, I suggest you be calling Stephanie every day.
Yeah, Medicaid.alabama.gov and get in touch with Stephanie.
That's the job. Make them do it.
Right.
All right. What's your next one?
Up next.
The National Guard.
Hey, that could come in handy. That could come in real handy. I don't know. We so this is something that I haven't actually looked a ton into, the best way to utilize the National Guard, but I do know that the stipulations for using the executive powers to declare a state of emergency are rather loose, I will say. So there are some interesting ways that I've pondered using it, depending on what what our state looks like by the time I get in. But for instance, one of the ways that has been written as a way of justifying the declaring a state of emergency is if any group of any specific group of people who are being their lives are being threatened, whether by nature or by another group of people, can be used as a way of justifying a state of emergency. So, I can think of quite a few groups of people that are regularly, their lives are threatened by another group of people, and maybe could use a state of emergency to solve a problem. Um, don't want to abuse that power per se, but there are some times that I think that could be useful. Um, you got to figure out what that actually turns into. An interesting point, talking about unions earlier, though, that's one of the times you can't declare a state of emergency is fights over like wages. That's literally written into the Constitution. Like everything else is fine, but
you mean so you can't defend the working man against the business? The government stays out of it unless the business agrees.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, if there's a an event revolving around labor, I'm trying to remember the exact words, but we're gonna loosely we're not gonna quote the the law right now, but it's if an event happens and people are in danger, but it's all around like labor or they're not happy with working conditions, stuff like that. I can't call it a state of emergency, but I can for lots of other reasons, just not labor related, and that sounds about like Alabama right now. So, but we can use our state troopers to bring in people from out of state to take their jobs. So that's cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So
All right,
let's head on down. Oh, the Alcohol Beverage Control Board. So is this okay? So I have a question for you. So you're in North Carolina, correct?
Yeah, we got a ABC store, but I'm from New York, so I'm used to the mom and pop liquor store.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're used to the ABC stores. Okay.
But I hate the ABC store. Anybody and everybody's going to sell food. Anybody and everybody, like the government shouldn't be able to control it. I don't agree.
Agreed. I don't like the fact that if I want to buy alcohol and it's not during the state's business hours, I have to pay like triple the price for my alcohol. So
you ain't got no liquor houses where you live. Look.
Oh no. So everybody has to buy from ABC in Alabama. Like even your liquor stores have to buy it from ABC, so they have to mark it up in order to sell it.
Got you. So let me start over. I am a regular person speaking to you all. I'm new to this presidential thing. Where I live, there is such a thing as a liquor house, which is a establishment that may or not be sanctioned by anybody's authority other than the homeowner.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Those may exist. I actually am not aware of any. So I'm not gonna say they don't exist because it's Alabama. Like, come on. NASCAR started from running moonshine. So like, yes, those probably exist. I'm not aware of them. So if you're listening, I don't know who you are.
I'm just saying, usually the best food is at liquor house. I just, and that could be, I'm fat. That might be how I got there. The best food though is at liquor.
Nice. So Alabama Beverage Control Board, I don't know how quickly I can shut that down as governor, but we would want to find a way to replace the whatever income tax or whatever taxes we're making off of that from something else, maybe marijuana. Pick another source, but we could get rid of the Alabama Beverage Control Board. I'd be okay with that.
Cool. I think that's a poll you should do to your citizens and ask them how they feel about that. Because if that's an unnecessary office, you could save your state some money by cutting it down, trimming the fat.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I just would suggest that as a poll.
Yeah.
Ask your folks. All right. Ooh,
banking
department. Why does he look like such a banker? I'm sorry.
Do they have a look?
People be like, "Oh, Jasmine, you're fat," and I'd be like, "But I'm a banker." So it would just be funny to me when I see other banks.
I didn't realize they had a look.
Yeah, we eat good.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm actually not super familiar with what this department does offhand, so that's something I'm going to have to look into. Is figuring out exactly what they actually control in the state. I have to assume it's a lot at this point. Because this does not give me. This is just his info. It's not actually the job description. So we'll skip past Mike here. Did I lose you?
So no, you
No. Okay.
didn't.
Okay.
I wanted to tell you what the state banking department.
Oh, you pulled it
does.
up. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
I googled it. So the state banking department in Alabama is the state agency that charters, regulates, and examines banks and trust companies chartered by the state of Alabama. This department also has regulatory and licensing authority over lenders, mortgage brokers, payday lenders, pawn shops conducting business in Alabama. So
Ooh.
my melanated people in Alabama, this is the person that's saying you're not getting your loans. This is the person that's saying, nah, the banks are not going to give brown people money. We're going to put payday loan centers in their bank, in their area
Yeah.
instead. This is the group. These are the people. You might actually want to sit down with these folks, Jerry.
Yep.
Because this is where all that screwing, because they manage the banks, pawn shops, and payday loans. And there's no ethical payday loan anywhere in the United States of America.
No, that interest rate is like 3,000% or something ridiculous.
You pay, like for borrowing $100, by the time you're done, you pay 1,000. Because when you start paying them, unless you pay the very next payment in full, you start paying the interest on the money you borrowed. It doesn't even begin to be applied to the money.
Yeah.
So like literally, people in Alabama, this state banking department is effing you over. Go ahead, Jared. Now that you know what they do, you can give them your business.
It's time to find somebody that's a little bit younger who might understand the current situation and needs of people who need banks, not necessarily the ones who want to use them. All right. Department of Commerce up next. We got Greg Canfield. Okay. Whew. I just pulled a K Ivy and burped on air. That was cool. If anybody's watching, all the Alabama people watching know exactly what I'm talking about. If you don't, just search K Ivy and burp, and you will.
That sounds gross. I saw their last ad, and I don't like K Ivy. They're big.
Literally middle of an interview. Just, when you got to burp, you got to burp. But it was a very, very, very big burp, and everybody has made lots of content from that one.
That's funny.
Because whatever, it's slightly off track, but it seems fake. Like it seems like somebody dubbed over with like somebody else's burp, but it was just straight up Ivy.
I have not heard that burp, but I can imagine. You have to understand when people have that much vitriol, that much hatred, that much bile and toxicity, they probably do burp like piles of trash.
That acid reflux and everything else is coming back up evidently. So let's see. Department of Commerce, right? That's what we're looking at with Greg.
Yep.
Made in Alabama. So that's the people that are over our chambers of commerce and making sure we have business coming into the state and over, I assume, all of our small business licensing and everything else. I'm actually looking to try and find that to confirm I'm not misunderstanding what they do. And their website is not helpful. Oh, they're the reason we don't have film in Alabama as much as we used to. Let's see.
You might want to explain that to people that are not.
Yeah. So when you have film companies who come in from out of town, typically they go to places that give them tax breaks in order to create jobs in the area while they are filming. So they'll get a tax break. So because you're then boosting the economy in theory by giving positions to um, local residents. But when you get rid of the tax incentive or alter it, uh, they go somewhere else to find work, and that's why a lot of work is in Georgia, a lot of work's in New Orleans. It was in Florida for a bit, but I think they had a similar situation where they dropped the illustrativeness. What's the word for that? The appeal. We're just going to go with a simpler word. They dropped the appeal of their tax incentives, so the film industry moved on to another state.
Yeah, when you go back.
Yep. All right. So let's see. So we're also talking about airports. Okay. So we're over airports, ports, railroads, and highways. Cool. So that somebody else actually asked me about the port authority here in Mobile. So I need to get back in touch with them and talk to them about our Department of Commerce. I think that's a local thing here in the Mobile area. We actually have three different major ways of getting stuff in and out of the state. We have rail, we have airports, we have boats, and we also have your interstates. We actually have four major hubs all in one place. It's kind of nuts. Anyway, side note about my local area.
Sound loud.
It can be. It can be. All right, so we will move on from Department of Commerce. Rather, we have Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. This guy we need to get in touch with to make sure we are protecting Alabama's natural resources. That is one of the big appeals, at least for me and a lot of people I run into. The reason you come here is because of a lot of the natural resources, lakes, rivers, streams, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but they did a study of the state, and the number of like recreative is that the right, I can't think of the right word right now.
Hey, the best part about being a politician is you can stay confessing. You
right
you
make up and just keep going.
Keep it there. Yeah,
The state of Alabama has a bunch more resources for recreation than than even the state kind of had an idea of when they just did a study last year. I don't have that stuff in front of me because it's a brand new study, and I kind of got not a sneak peek, but somebody was telling me about it because they were on the board who looked at everything. So we got to make sure we get in touch with Chris Blankenship to make sure we're protecting all of our rivers, because our state, through all of the water coming through the state, is actually a fifth of the nation's water flows out through our state, I believe, if that stat's right. Somebody correct me later if I got that wrong, but I believe it's about a fifth of the water flows through our state for the nation, which is kind of nuts. We got to make sure we're protecting that, because it's not just us. We're actually we're protecting the earth at that point, not just Alabama. But anywho, let's jump over. Who's next? After our conservation and natural resources, we have John Hamm, Department of Corrections. He's got to go. Yeah, he's
Wait, I got a question. Why is that separate from the parole? Like,
oh, so this is the one that's over the prisons. The parole is the one that they're over letting people out of prison. This is the one that's over the prisons as a whole.
I yep. see. So y'all got two different groups: one keeping them in, and one not letting them out.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you got to watch both doors. You got to watch the front door and the back door.
I guess
you got to sneak them in. You got to sneak them in the back and keep them from going out the front. So, but yeah, we actually recently announced a contract for the COVID funds that we set aside in the last year. The whole reason I'm running, we finally signed a contract for I think it's over 500 million. I think it's closer to the 600 million mark for a new facility, a new prison. So we gotta figure this out, because this guy, I'm going to say this position, I don't know if it was Hamm. I don't want to be counted for or be accused of slander, but this position was over the sheriff who was not spending all of their food budget on their prison and pocketing it to the tune of $750,000, which was technically, I don't think all of it was illegal. Like it became discretionary funds because it was excess. Like it was, it was like, oh, you saved the prison money, so like, yeah, do something with that. So he did, and just not spend it on food for the incarcerated folks in that prison. So this guy's over that whole. I'm just gonna, yeah, that whole group of atrocious facilities. We'll say it that way.
Damn.
Yeah.
You got a lot of work ahead of you. Okay.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about something positive. At least
Yeah.
y'all care about babies, right? Y'all playing. Let's talk about
Some early
Dr.
childhood. Yeah. Some early childhood development. We'll take it. Dr. Barbara Cooper. I don't know much about her. She was actually hired less than 2 years ago at this point. So by our current governor. But she actually has education experience. So, I I'm up for keeping her around so far. She has experience in the job that she's trying to lead people on. That's sounding good. I think my biggest concern is figuring out how to adapt the unicorn policy for education to our state. And I don't think it's going to take much, but that's one of the next steps that I've got.
One of the best parts about this, the thing that I can tell you is going to give your state some urgency. It's going to give all the states some urgency. Federal funding will stop for any state that doesn't meet our requirements.
Right.
So I have a feeling they will sit down and be in all kinds of meetings with you to make this all work.
Let's get it in order first before it's a threat. Let's let it be a, hey, guess what? This is a good policy. Let's put it in place, help our kids out, and then we won't have to worry about losing funding in 2025.
Right. All right.
Cool.
Ooh, economic community affairs. This one should be a fun one, right? This guy's job is to just make y'all money, right? Unless I misunderstood. It's Alabama.
That's a very good question. So let's pull up ADECA and make sure we're not misunderstanding what they do. Come on. They need a new website. We're going to make sure that's on their in the budget. They're going to fix their website because it's not easy to use. Funding opportunities, requests for proposals, requests for applications, other grant opportunities. That's just all the stuff that's open. Partnerships, grants, and services to spur community economic development. Yeah. So yes, that's another positive note. Ways that we can actually boost our economy in our state equitably, so that everybody can have access to that boosted economy and enhance our quality of life. I like it. So we need to talk to them and find ways to actually help the whole state, not just some of the larger cities, which is where they're usually focusing. We're going to find ways to help out the smaller areas of the state, smaller populaces. I'll say that. So we'll be getting in touch with Kenneth Boswell for sure.
You should see if you can meet with him now.
A little bit.
I try to meet with all the decent people now to get an understanding from their partner. I'm gonna try to meet with your governor. It's gonna be terrible.
You should. You should.
It's gonna be terrible. Let me just go back there. Be burp tapping.
I want to make sure that I am ready for that discussion and interview.
You need to be with the bail money.
Look, so what you're saying is I need to meet with the Board of Pardons and Paroles first. Oh man. So the Director of Finance. All right.
Bill Poole.
So what? All right. So we have finance and we have banking. What are we?
You see what I'm saying? Somebody smoked. So this, I don't know how to tell y'all this, but Alabama, y'all are wasting money on all these people. Because finance in other states covers banking.
Yeah. All right. So, comprised of several divisions that provide financial management and operational support to state of Alabama governmental agencies and protect the financial interests of the state. So they are just here to serve the state, is what it sounds like. So this is just state finance. So banking,
That's still like crazy.
yeah, but the banking piece is for uh, consumers.
Their
And
government is so big, they need their own finance department.
yeah,
You
well, you know,
know
that's
Cyprus, right?
I was going to say
You know
that's how we ended up next to Cyprus on the human development index.
You might want to explain to people what happened.
You're right. That was another meeting. There's a thing called the Human Development Index, and it just shows how humanity's progressing with multiple pieces. It's not just GDP. And there on Wikipedia, there's a comparison for all 50 states and the territories to their equivalent country for the same human index or human development index. And Alabama is next to Cyprus, which is in the Mediterranean. So go look that up if you want a nice little kick and giggle to see which state compares to which country with how we've developed. All right, Department of Human Resources. I really need to get in touch with her. I still find it weird that we call it Human Resources. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like the title.
Human Resources is always there to protect the business.
Yeah, because the humans are the resource. It's just I don't like the title. It's a weird, like, it's like saying the quiet part out loud for me. It's really, really strange.
No, but this doesn't make any sense. Oh, this is a baby farm. So, did you read this?
No, not yet. I'm pulling it up.
Oh, yeah. So it looks like this woman has increased 64% in adoptions, a simplified food assistance program for seniors, and a food assistance process which will allow. Oh, that sounds like they're taking the babies and giving them away.
That's, you know, maybe that's why we have more we're trying to get rid of abortions, right? Where we've got the zombie law waiting for Roe v. Wade to drop so we can not have abortions, so we can have more babies.
Give them the zombie law. Now I don't know what you.
Oh yeah, zombie law or trip law. Is it trip law? Anyway, so it's a law that's sitting on the books that's technically illegal federally, but sitting on the books for Alabama specifically, so that if Roe v. Wade becomes nullified, for lack of better terms, our law can now be put into use. So we have one that's already passed and it's ready to go. And literally, Ivy signed it in 19, I think, and it was praising that, like, hey, we're ready to go when Roe v. Wade gets overturned. So we don't have to pass new legislation if Roe v. Wade is overturned in June. We just start using the law we passed 3 years ago. And
it's a trigger law.
Trigger law, that's the other one. So zombie or trigger law, depending on which term you want to use. I say zombie because it's more grotesque. Thank you for chiming in. Let's see. Yeah, so Department of Human Resources sounds like we need to talk for sure. We're trying to increase adoptions, and I don't know. And that's something not a lot of people talk about. Like, I'm not here to increase adoption rates. I would much rather support the families who feel like they're forced to put their children up for adoption. I don't hear a lot of people generally say that out loud, but it's like, we are spending a bunch of money and giving it to families that are already more well off to take someone else's kid and take care of it when we could just take care of the family that needs the help in the first place. And I somehow that has to be cheaper in the long run. I don't know. I don't know how it wouldn't be, but we'll talk to Nancy about that. So we'll go there and talk to Nancy about that one.
Maybe you could also also ask Nancy how she feels about the fact that there are a lot of children that get adopted and then are unalived by their foster or adoptive families.
Yeah. Not sure she's going to want to talk about that one. We'll, we'll
Is that a high metric in your state?
I don't know if that is I don't know what that rate is. No, I'm aware of it being a thing, but I don't know how high it is in my state. Not offhand.
Okay, fair enough. Ready for insurance?
As ready as I'm going to be.
I say that because it's 8:48 and we have not gotten through all of your tabs.
That's because we have lots of tabs. All right, Department of Insurance. They handle insurance regulation, so we're gonna have to.
Republicans stay with big government. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, we got to see if we can find a way to get rid of some of the bloat. I think is the right word. So no, I don't. I have nothing to say about it. Department of Insurance. So let's go down. Department of Labor. Let's talk about Fitzgerald.
Wait, though. But wait, you
What?
gotta look at your insurance, though.
You got to look at insurance. All right.
Because this one person is. I just feel like y'all need to come back to this one because it seems skeezy. So he retired. This is a general person who retired, and then y'all brought him back after, like, so it just seems hinky.
Yeah.
He and other local business leaders formed River Bank and Trust, where he currently serves on as the board of directors.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
That seems like a conflict of interest. That's why I was just
Gotcha. Yeah.
saying. Well, that seems skeezy to me. But on to Department of Labor.
Yeah. I want to make sure we give Fitzgerald some time to. We're gonna talk about Fitzgerald for a little bit.
Fair.
So he's been here since 2014. That's good. Washington serves on the National Association of State Workforce. That's a good deal there. Member of Alabama Workforce Council, prior to appointment secretary of Alabama Department of Labor. Washington worked for Buffalo Rock Company, so he worked for soda company. Cool. Marketing and sales director. Got it. And served as a chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. And he helped Minority Business Council foster growth. Cool, good there. Okay, so let's see what exactly. So we got employment and unemployment. So we got to figure out because I think our unemployment is listed as lower currently, but that I know that stat is easy to fudge based on who's applying versus who's that versus who actually just doesn't have a job and is coasting and trying to figure out how to get a better job. All I know is there are a lot of jobs in Alabama that currently are looking, or a lot of businesses rather, that are looking for jobs that can't find people. So we need to talk to Fitzgerald about our minimum wage and try to bump that up from the national, because we use the national minimum wage of $7.25. So
Wow.
yeah, well, unless I think everybody knows, but unless you're working in a restaurant where it's $2.13 an hour because tips, that still seems unconscionable to me. I don't know how that actually works. It didn't click until I was a lot older.
Tipping like that is allowed is because it started as a thing for slaves.
Yeah.
And then poor white people were also poor and was like, well, let me get in on this. And they were like, oh, you want to do what they do? And they left it.
Right.
That's how it came about.
Oh yeah, no, I see how it gets there. I just I used to work as a you're in a tipped position, and it never clicked until I was a lot older of how bad that actually was. It just did not seem exploitative until I got out of the system and realized, wow, that's really bad. That is not how we should treat people. Yeah. So we'll talk to Fitzy. We'll see. I'm gonna call him Fitzy. We're gonna see how that goes. We'll see
Nah,
how that.
please don't.
No,
Please don't. All that man. Unless he said, be like, you got any nicknames I can use?
Mr. Washington. We'll start there.
Yeah. And then when he's like, you can call me Fixie, then go with it.
Sounds good. We gotta start with some respect first, and then we'll see if he's.
I'm using this as a counter, right? So like the joke used to be, you see a bunch of marginalized people and then one non-melanated person. I don't know what they did to get in with that crew, but I would be careful. Okay, go on. I'm
All right.
so sorry.
We got like 7 minutes. So Kim Boswell is in the Department of Mental Health. We definitely need to talk to her. I'm not a huge fan that she was appointed by our current governor in 2020. Although she's got experience with working with individuals in mental health, that doesn't necessarily mean she was helping them. So that's something we gotta figure out. We've talked about opening. I say we. Our state currently has talked about opening another. I think it's 15 mental health facilities, but I don't know what they plan on actually doing with them. I don't know what that actually looks like because in the past they were not helpful. Speaking from familial experience, they were not good places to have people. So I'm hoping they have a better plan than we used to. So that'll be under our overall healthcare. We're gonna keep going because we still have, oh my gosh, 7 more. Department of Revenue, come on, Vernon.
A lot of money, Department of Alabama.
No, you can. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Please tell me this covers. Yeah, it covers the Department of Motor Vehicles. Okay. Yep. It's one of our ways of making money. All right. Let's see. He was brought in under Ivy also, it looks like. Yep. He was previously on Department of Environmental Management, which seems weird to go to revenue from environmental management. It seems like a weird leap. He was also a chief deputy commissioner on the Alabama Department of Corrections. These are all some weird overlaps for me. It doesn't say does it say what he used to do? Oh, he studied law.
He paid for jobs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So he went to school for law and is now in charge of revenue. That seems not like a good fit, at least at initial view. All right, it's over to senior services. What are we doing here? Administers programs for senior citizens, people with disabilities, and caregivers. Established in 1957. Okay. You know, we got a large retirement community down here. We got snowbirds and whatnot. So let's to talk to Jean. It looks like she was an assistant attorney. A lot of lawyers. I know that's a common thing. It's just super weird to see. Legal counsel. Let's see how, like, none of this looks, I don't know. I'm not crazy for saying this doesn't seem like a fit for someone who's in charge of, like.
No, you're not crazy.
Like,
one of the things I have noticed here, I see a lot of lawyers, but no, like people with the skill set to do the job that they have.
Yeah, outside of our education, our early childhood education is the one that stuck out. Yeah,
it didn't even continue on.
Yeah, that's the one that stands out for sense. Like the beverage board, like at least have a brewer. Like, come on.
Okay, what's your
Department of Tourism and Travel. Please tell me it is another lawyer because that would just make sense. Let's see. No, he's a marketing director. Okay, all right. Look, you know what?
For tourism, but that actually fits,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You convinced them to make Sweet Home Alabama your theme song.
Yeah.
I needed help with that.
Okay. Hey.
Okay. This is the
Yes.
only person that is actually qualified for their job. So I think Alabama actually wants people to visit.
Yes. That's how we
Yeah.
get. That's how we get some money.
So that
Especially,
one's legit. Like he
yeah,
actually is qualified.
yeah, and
Super for your transportation. Oh,
yeah. All right, let's head
oh
to.
my gosh. I'm done.
You're done. You the
Yeah.
DOT. Come on.
So your DOT, look what you did.
Yeah.
Look what you did. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, for real. The reason this one is fun. You took a finance guy from an IT company to be your DOT.
It makes sense,
Try
right?
that.
Come on.
Try that.
He's
I'm
got a
fine.
master's in accounting, so we've got to put him in charge of roads. Although, you know what? This makes sense that I've had so many people ask me how we're going to fix our infrastructure. Like somebody from rural Alabama, near the middle of the state, was pointing out that there is a one of the emergency management offices for the state is near Montgomery, and some of the worst roads that they've experienced in the state are actually near that emergency management facility. And they're like the officials have to drive this road, like they have to go to this place regularly.
So I want to tell you more about this man, and this is just because of my personal experience in the workforce. This meeting might need to go over because this is very important. This gentleman was a managing partner at Price Water Coopers. If anybody works in fields like mine, they're a supposedly quote unquote upper echelon a consulting firm, like a staffing agency, right? You have a problem in your business and you don't need these people on your staff for a long time. You just need them to be there to generate this transition or product or whatever. This gentleman's company is staffing. Now, they don't do a good job. They abuse most of their employees and H-1B visas. But this dude is more qualified to be in your jobs department.
The labor department, yeah.
Yeah. He's more qualified than Fitzy. God, don't make me call him Fitzy. I'm done.
We're gonna have to swap some. Look, you know what? Maybe that's what we do. First day, we come in and we all come to a meeting, and we're like, all right, cool. Everybody find your name, and we're gonna sit down in front of your name, and then you're like, all right, reach under your chair because this is your new position. We're just gonna swap them to the ones that make the most sense, and the ones that don't have an obvious fit, it's like, all right, well, like we're gonna have to figure where you're going because your experience doesn't fit.
But like, no, for real, he has no infrastructure, education whatsoever. Okay, I'm going.
Nothing listed. Yeah, nothing listed. So we'll say it.
Lord.
You would think they would, but all right, EMA. Okay, so that's not EMA. Who am I thinking? I mean, it is, but it's not who I was thinking of. This is emergency management. Yeah. So this is my buddy that I'll have to become friends with, or replace if he doesn't like my plan for our state of emergencies.
Well, why isn't this combined with your National Guard stuff?
Hey, look, can I make an offhanded, not appropriate joke right now?
Why not?
Separate but equal.
Okay. All right. So you should talk about this department.
Yeah. So emergency management, we'll have to, because we have them like hurricanes, right? Like that's a huge factor in our state. So we've got to make sure that they're doing their job to help us stay on top of it. He's got a applied physics degree, so I'm not sure that directly relates, but let's see. In less than a week, he came on right before Hurricane Irma and actually helped make sure that evacuation went well. So I'll give him a chance. The degree doesn't make sense, but he at least knew how to manage his people well during an emergency a week into the job. I'll give him that one.
Physics is a very logical thing, though. Like, it could be good.
Yeah. All right, Brian. We'll give you a shot.
That haircut says you guys are gonna get along great.
Yeah.
Oh, Minority Affairs.
Nichelle Nix. Just clicking the link and just mispronounced Nichelle's name. Sorry about that. Let's see. Previously an attorney. Why not? Remember the firm's government and regulatory affairs. Okay. All right. So we're fitting in. Lawyer actually for this position makes sense. So we're looking good there. Executive director at the Sickle Cell Disease Association of America in Mobile, right in my backyard. Cool. Served a legislative council, graduated from somewhere in Georgia, public health degree. Look, I'm not upset at qualifications and the position she's in right now. I'm not seeing anything that doesn't.
That I mean, I assume so. Like one of the cool things about being black is if you want a job, they only give it to you if you're qualified.
That is a very, very good point.
Yeah, I had no doubt.
Yeah.
All right.
So
now
IT.
the IT guy works at DOT. I look forward to reading this man's resume. Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. So sure. One, he had Medicaid agency and state finance department. He originated, led, and implemented technology advancements. Okay, in those departments. Okay, that makes more sense. Let's see. Nope. Began his career in banking and finance technology. Okay, so he has tech background. And you know what? I'll give.
Nah. So in 2007, it is 2022.
Well,
that gentleman is unqualified.
No, what I was gonna say is that let's see. He started in 2019. So this.
But when he worked in banking, it was too.
Oh yeah. No. So all I was gonna say is I'll give Marty credit that at least while he was in his position, we created a logical plan for storing digital signatures that I've reviewed thoroughly. I'll give Marty that.
He's familiar with automation. I give you that.
Yeah. So like he at least brought some of our state into the 21st century. Whether or not other departments or other agencies in our state want us to use that technology is a different question. Although maybe that's why he got hired, is to keep us in a couple generations back in tech. So, all right, we got a lot of the positions to fill. So,
that's your Alabama cabinet.
That's our cabinet.
I would let you know right now, though, as an actual current IT professional, the technology from 2007 is not being used by any bank anywhere in the world outside of maybe Cyprus. So I'm done.
So we're on par. We're on par.
You're on par. Thank you so much, everyone who stayed late. I know that you guys thought this week was not going to be as much fun as it was, but I had a great time talking about Jared's cabinet. And so next week, I think we'll be back to my cabinet, and the following week will be Jared's cabinet again, just to get some more details so he's had time to meet with these people, learn more about these positions, and then get your feelings on these positions. For Alabamians, this is your government. This is why things are the way they are. These people who have no experience are running your government and pretending that because they've been doing this thing badly for years, that counts as experience. You deserve better, Alabama. Peace, love, and hair grease, y'all.
Night, everybody.